The person I trusted most was the one who hurt me most. I remember the day I met Elena as if it were etched in the quiet corners of my mind, a moment frozen in the soft light of an autumn afternoon. It was at a small bookstore in the city, the kind where the air smells of aged paper and fresh coffee. I was browsing the poetry section, lost in verses about love and loss, when she reached for the same book I was eyeing, Rilke's Letters to a Young Poet. Our hands brushed, and she smiled, her eyes warm like the sun filtering through the window. "You take it," she said. "I can wait." That was Elena. Generous, unassuming, with a quiet strength that drew me in. We talked for hours that day about books, dreams, and the little disappointments life throws our way. She was a graphic designer, freelancing from her cozy apartment, and I was a teacher, shaping young minds in a high school classroom. Our lives seemed to fit together effortlessly, like puzzle pieces long separated but meant to connect. We started dating soon after. It wasn't a whirlwind romance. It was steady, built on shared silences and meaningful conversations. Elena had a way of listening that made me feel seen, truly seen, for the first time. She knew about my past, the absent father, the string of failed relationships, and she held those stories gently, without judgment. "We're all a bit broken," she'd say, her hand on mine. "That's what makes us real." Months turned into years. We moved in together, into a modest house on the outskirts of town, with a garden she tended with care. Mornings were my favorite, waking to the sound of her humming in the kitchen, the scent of herbal tea wafting through the air. We'd plan our days over breakfast, dreaming of trips we'd take someday, to the mountains or perhaps the sea. I trusted her implicitly. She was my anchor in a world that often felt adrift. But trust, I've learned, is a fragile thing, built on assumptions we rarely question. Looking back, there were signs, subtle as whispers in the wind. Elena's phone would buzz late at night, and she'd glance at it with a fleeting frown before setting it aside. "Work stuff," she'd murmur, and I'd nod, believing her because why wouldn't I? She started staying out later, claiming client meetings that ran overtime. I chalked it up to her career picking up. She was talented after all, and deserved the success. One evening, as rain pattered against the windows, I found myself alone again. Elena had texted that she'd be home late. Another deadline. I decided to surprise her with dinner, something simple but thoughtful. While chopping vegetables, her laptop caught my eye on the counter, left open in her haste to leave that morning. I wasn't prying, not intentionally. But a notification popped up, a message from someone named Alex. "Can't wait to see you tonight. Same place." Curiosity tugged at me, gentle at first, then insistent. I clicked on the chat history, my heart steady but my mind racing. Messages scrolled by. Intimate, affectionate, laced with plans and secrets. Alex wasn't a client. He was a colleague, someone she'd mentioned in passing. Their affair had been going on for months, hidden in plain sight. Photos too, ones that twisted my stomach into knots. Elena, laughing in his arms, in places we'd never been together. I sat there, the knife forgotten in my hand, as the world blurred around me. Betrayal isn't a storm. It's a slow erosion, a quiet unraveling. I didn't rage or shatter dishes. Instead, I felt a profound stillness settle over me, like the calm after a long-held breath is released. When she came home that night, soaked from the rain, I was waiting in the living room. The dinner sat cold on the table. "We need to talk," I said, my voice even, devoid of the tremor I felt inside. She froze in the doorway, her eyes widening as realization dawned. "How did you?" But she didn't finish. She knew. We talked through the night, or rather, she confessed while I listened. It started innocently, she said. A shared project, late nights at the office. Then compliments turned to touches, and before she knew it, she was entangled. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I love you." This was a mistake. Love. The word hung in the air, hollow now. I asked why, probing for reasons that might make sense of the chaos. Was I not enough? Had I changed? She shook her head. "It's not you. It's me." I got scared of how settled we were. Alex made me feel alive again. Her words were a mirror, reflecting back my own complacency. Had I taken her for granted? Assumed our bond was unbreakable? In the quiet of that conversation, I saw us both clearly. Two people who had built a life together but forgotten to nurture the vulnerabilities beneath. She moved out the next week to a friend's place while we sorted things. The house felt echoing without her, the garden overgrown as if mourning her absence. I went through the motions, teaching classes, grading papers, forcing smiles for my students. But in the evenings, solitude wrapped around me like a familiar coat. Reflection came slowly, in fragments. I journaled, pouring out thoughts onto pages that absorbed my pain without judgment. Betrayal by a loved one cuts deepest because it's not just the act. It's the shattering of trust, the questioning of every memory. Was our first meeting genuine, or just a prelude to this end? Did she ever truly love me, or was I a safe harbor until something more exciting came along? Yet in that reflection I found unexpected grace. Elena's betrayal forced me to confront my own dependencies. I'd placed so much of my identity in our relationship that I'd lost sight of myself. I started small, revisiting old hobbies like painting which I'd set aside years ago. I reached out to friends I'd neglected, sharing my story not for pity but for connection. Their support reminded me that trust isn't singular. It's woven through many relationships. Months passed. I heard through mutual acquaintances that Elena and Alex didn't last. She reached out once, a tentative email apologizing again, asking if we could meet. I considered it but declined politely. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about releasing the hold pain has on you. I forgave her in my way, but reconciliation wasn't the path forward. Now, as I sit in that same bookstore where we met, sipping coffee alone, I feel a quiet peace. The poetry section still calls to me, Rilke's words a balm. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Life has a way of reshaping us through hurt, teaching resilience in the aftermath. Betrayal reshaped me, but it didn't define me. The person I trusted most hurt me most, yes, but in that hurt I discovered a deeper trust in myself. And that, perhaps, is the truest form of healing.